Science, art, and industry. What thoughts come to mind when you hear each of these words? Is it technology, innovation, big business? All three of these words run simultaneously with the word Kodak. Kodak is an American technological company that concentrates on imaging products with historic basis on photography. Hello, my name is Tony Liccione, and today I will be discussing George Eastman and the Eastman Kodak Company. Probably without even knowing it, many of you at some point in your lives have inadvertently come across the brand Kodak, as well as their many products through advertising and television. The Kodak brand has been around for generations. In addition, with a large global workforce that has its presence in many different industries, Kodak has emerged as a top performer. Today we're going to talk about the founder of Eastman Kodak, Mr. George Eastman, and his many contributions to not only photography and technology, but to many other global industries from advertising to also healthcare. In addition, I will also give a brief background of the company from its founding to its current multi-global outreach. So let's begin with a brief history of George Eastman and the Eastman Kodak. George Eastman was born on July 12, 1854 in the village of Waterville, which is approximately 20 miles southwest of Utica in upstate New York. At the age of 5, his father moved the family to Rochester, New York, with hopes of opening up his own college institution. Then tragedy struck. George's father died, the college failed, and the family also became financially distressed. George later continued his education until the age of 14. Then, forced by family circumstances, he decided it was best to drop out in search of employment. His first job was that of a messenger boy for an insurance company. Upon embarking on a trip for Santo Domingo, a friend suggested to George that he record his vacation by taking pictures. The camera at the time was as big as a microwave, and it also needed to be supported on a heavy tripod. He also carried a portable tent that he could use as a black room to expose the negatives before they dried out, a large heavy jug of water, a glass tank, as well as multiple chemicals that were extremely hazardous. Eastman did not make the trip. However, he did become completely engulfed in photography, and he was determined to make the process as simple as possible. Now, fast forward to September 4th, 1888. On this day, Eastman Kodak was born. Now, according to Kodak.com, that was already over 127 years ago. First and foremost, George Eastman built his business based on 4 basic principles. 1, a focus on the customer. 2, mass production at a low cost. 3, providing worldwide distribution and selling products extensively through marketing campaigns. Eastman was a principal leader whose company fostered growth, innovation, as well as development. He reinvested his profits to build and further grow his business long term. Eastman additionally prioritized the well-being of his employees by treating his workers fairly and with respect. Eastman was significantly much more than an entrepreneur in the fact that he was a visionary who also put his company at the forefront of innovation through leading-edge business practices of that time. So now that we understand who George Eastman was as the man, let's discuss the impact that his invention and company had on the world. According to his biography written by Elizabeth Breyer with the slogan, "You press the button, we do the rest," George Eastman put the first simple Kodak camera into the hands of a world of consumers. He made a complicated and long process easy to use and accessible to nearly everyone. As convenient as the pencil was a phrase coined by Eastman to convey his achievement. Through his vision and endeavors, Kodak has been at the center of most milestones in photography and digital imaging. Now, in the same way that Kodak influenced the average consumer, Eastman also heavily shaped the motion picture and television industries as well. Written in the book Magnetic Sound Recording for Motion Pictures by Eastman Kodak, when Eastman created the first commercial transparent roll of film in 1889, it enabled the inventor Thomas Edison to develop the first motion picture camera in 1891. Improved emulsion technology later arose with Eastman EXR color negative film products in 1989. These gave cinematographers significant creative flexibility, providing more underexposure latitude, truer colors, and more fluorescent lighting, which also led to greater sharpness, which was never done prior. Kodak has since earned a total of 9 Oscar statuettes, which is much more than any other non-studio company in the world, for its technological contributions to the cinema industry. With this groundbreaking and innovative products, Eastman was able to transform the entire motion picture industry, allowing for much more creative and higher quality films to be made as well as viewed by larger audiences. Now, in addition to movies and television, Kodak also had the technology and scope to greatly affect the printing and publishing world as well. According to www.printhistory.com, in the 1950s and 60s, Kodak played a key role in the explosion of color in magazines as well as books. The company researched systems for high-quality color printing, and through numerous courses, conferences, and product introductions, taught the industry how to do color separation, masking, as well as correction. During the 1990s, Kodak was the first to commercialize an infrared sensitive or thermal digital printing plate, which enabled outstanding quality of today's offset printing and was at the forefront of Kodak's current industry-leading thermal plates. Kodak's process of researching new development techniques allowed the industry to expand and grow along with their products. Much more vivid and actual pictures would enhance the target demographic as well as greatly influence their purchasing decisions. Now, while keeping all these points in mind, Eastman and Eastman Kodak were also at the forefront of the medical and healthcare imaging industry as well. According to the book Radiographic Photography and Imaging, written by J.D. Jenkins, in 1896, Kodak introduced the first capture medium, a photographic paper designed specifically for X-ray images. During the 1940s, Kodak adapted its film and imaging technology to the specific needs of healthcare industry. Over the decades, other films with special characteristics were developed for applications like cardiology, dentistry, mammograph, as well as oncology, which is the treatment of cancer. In 1956, the Kodak OMAP processor was able to produce finished radiographs in only 6 minutes, which was much less than a decade earlier that had been cut to a mere 90 seconds. These products greatly enhanced the success rate of saving lives. It cut the costs as well as the time that an actual hospital or doctor could give patient care. So in conclusion now, basically what we discussed was the founder, Kodak, as well as the establishment of Eastman Kodak Company. In addition, we also discussed the many technological advances Kodak has made as a company, as well as their different business spectrums. So basically the takeaway that I want for each of you is to have a much greater awareness of the contributions many entrepreneurs have gifted to the world. Reflecting on the myriad of benefits manifested by these innovations, products, and visions, society, to me, should gain much more enhanced levels of appreciation for the lives of individuals, but to overall the well-being of the world as well. Embrace the innovative and entrepreneurial spirit. Recognize that many businesses and products from America can also have a long-lasting impression throughout the world. The progress of the world depends almost entirely upon education, which was said by Mr. George Eastman. Much like George Eastman, many of these breakthroughs in science and business can happen through your own motivation and efforts as well. Thank you all very much.